now that we're going to be getting into some more complicated formulas and some more longer calculations in this class, we sometimes might need to follow order of operations. So the order of operations is parentheses first. That's what we do first. And then we do any exponents or square roots. And then multiply and divide left to right, then add, subtract left to right. Okay, so one way to remember this, PEMDAS, or if anybody's ever learned, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So that kind of is just a trick of remembering the order. Just be careful. It's kind of like it's 4 steps, not 6. Parentheses, then exponents, which square roots goes with exponents. Multiply and divide are together. Add and subtract are together. Okay, so we do parentheses first, then exponents, but then multiply and divide. This has to be done together, left to right, and then add, subtract together, left to right. Okay, so that multiply, divide go together, add, subtract go together. Okay, so here's one we've done before, temperature. So if we want to find the temperature in Celsius, if Fahrenheit is -20, okay, so 5 parentheses, I'm going to plug -20 in for F. So because I know Fahrenheit is -20, that goes in for F all over 9. Okay, so like I said, we've touched on this a little bit before when we've done this formula. So in the parentheses, I would do that first. -20 minus -32 is -52. Okay, then multiply and divide from left to right. So in this case, it's really like 5 times -52. Notice how that's all over that fraction line. That really should be done first. In this case, there's a few ways you could calculate it. It would come out, but sometimes not the case, especially if there's like adding, subtracting. So if you have a big fraction line, think of that like big parentheses on top. This needs to be done first. So 5 times -52 is -260 over 9 is, so divided by 9, -28 point, let's go hundredth again. So 28.89 degrees Celsius. Okay, next one. This is one we're going to be using a lot in the next 2 units. When we do geometry and trigonometry, this is a formula that we're going to use a lot. So we're going to, this formula finds the side of a triangle across from 90 degrees. So if we want to calculate the missing side of the triangle, if A is 3.25 and B is 6.5. Okay, so I'm going to put my square root symbol. 3.25 squared plus 6.5 squared. Okay, now I don't see any parentheses, but because this square root goes over everything underneath there, again, we have to kind of think of this as parentheses here. So within here, I need to do my exponents first. 3.25 squared is 10.5625. 6.5 squared is 42.25. And again, keep going with, now I have to add those. So, and if I already have 42.25 in my calculator, I'm just hitting plus 10.5625, 52.8125, and I'm going to do the square root of that. So I hit second x squared. Now I could type that in. The other thing you might want to try out, notice above your negative button, it says ANS. So if you hit second, then your negative button, it'll pull your last answer. And then you don't have to retype it in. Oh, and I don't need that square root anymore because I did the square root to get 7.26722. So we'll go 7.27 approximately. Now, that's how I would follow order of operations for this problem. Now, I would also suggest, because this is what I'm going to encourage you to do as we keep using this, because we're going to be doing it a lot, try to do this whole thing in your calculator. Start off, second, hit your x squared button, and that'll start off your square root. And most calculators start a parenthesis, or it'll keep you underneath the square root. If you have the multi-view one, and try to put in this whole thing, 3.25 squared plus 6.5 squared, okay? And you could always end your parenthesis and see if you get that 7.27 again. Okay, but so that's great if you can do it all in your calculator. But what we just went through step by step, that's what your calculator is doing. It's doing order of operations. Okay, one more. Now this one's just kind of like a generic one, but just some practice with following order of operations. I'm going to jot down PEMDAS. So parentheses first. So in the first set of parentheses, 6 minus 8, or 6 plus negative 8, that's negative 2. I'm going to keep the parentheses around it still, though, because everything in there needs to be squared. I'm going to bring down the minus 3 because I'm doing in the parentheses. 12 minus 4 times 2. Now, even within here, I have to follow order of operations. So within the parentheses, there's no exponents, but multiplying and dividing need to be done first. So first, I need to do 4 times 2 is 8. So then I still have within the parentheses, 12 minus 8 is 4. Now when I bring down this 3 in front, minus 3, what's going on between that 3 and the parentheses, if I don't see anything, that's multiplication. And at this point, I could drop those parentheses. I can keep it 3 parentheses 4, but I'm going to end up next doing 3 times 4. So I did everything in the parentheses, so I can drop them right now. Now back to that negative 2 squared. Negative 2 times negative 2, that'll be a positive 4. Okay, so I did my parentheses, I did my exponents. Back to this multiply and divide, so bring down the 4. 3 times 4 is 12. So notice, I'm not doing 4 minus 3 yet. First, 3 times 4 is 12. Did my multiplying and dividing. Now adding and subtracting. This is like a 4. I want to change this to plus negative 12, I can, if that helps me think about this, that this is going to be a negative 8.